there has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped in 10th and Ranch by Collider.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Folks, the Ruby Franke case, of course, there were some hearings yesterday. This case is going to really expand to having more people involved, more people culpable into what actually occurred. If you see the little flyer on the screen, Kevin Franke's lawyer says 8 passengers' kids were manipulated. Geez, you think so? You think they were maybe manipulated? I think there's many people manipulated them besides Ruby Franke, besides Jodi Hildebrandt, and including your client, Mr. Attorney, Kevin Franke. There's to act as if he has no culpability in this is really a stretch. And I realized that he was out of the house for 13 months, 14 months, and it was not an amicable split, but yet he still could have kept in touch with his kids, who right on the screen was clear that they were being manipulated. Right on the screen, it was clear they were not allowed to live the lives that kids normally live. They were being used to make money. And then Kevin Franke must have known what type of monster Jodi Hildebrandt was. So for him to just ignore that, I find that to be a little suspect also. And I think that when the smoke clears in this, I think you're going to see that Kevin Franke is just as culpable as Ruby Franke. And the deal will be, and a deal it is whether the district attorney uses him to testify against Ruby and Jodi Hildebrandt. That's the only thing I think that will get him off the hot seat, because in my opinion, in my experience, he's not an innocent guy. Let's play a little bit of this from the local TV station.
Some newly obtained police documents that name Jodi Hildebrandt. But first, Ruby and her husband Kevin were in court today for a welfare case involving their children.
Amanda Gilbert joining us live tonight from the courthouse with the very latest there. Amanda.
Yeah, cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom today, but reporters were. And actually, during the hearing today, Ruby Franke's attorney said that she would be in jail, quote, for the foreseeable future. Also, for the first time today, I spoke with Kevin Franke's attorney. I asked about the future of the children. Kevin Franke and his attorney, Randy Kester, left juvenile court after an almost 30-minute scheduling hearing. Kevin's wife, Ruby's accused of abusing their children.
We're just working toward trying to get this family healed and get these kids back where they should be.
As far as the children's future,
There's a long, there's going to be a long process to, as what this attorney just said, get these children healed. As I said, Ruby Franke, I don't see the kids going back to her at all. And as far as Kevin Franke, there has to be a huge investigation to determine what his role was in this. And was he one of the abusers?
Kester says
They need to be with a family member, preferably Kevin.
he said Kevin and Ruby have been separated for 14 months.
We're working hard, Kevin and I, to convince the state that he's an incredible father.
For today's hearing, Judge Chada Pazel asked discuss.
Folks, would an incredible father stay away from his kids for 14 months? And I don't know what kind of contact he had with them, if any at all, but if they were my kids, I'd be kicking and screaming, and including taking the mother to court to be allowed to see my children and to be inside in an integral part of the children's lives. And it doesn't seem like he did that.
Discussion focused focus on scheduling. She also talked about a pending motion to seal this case, which means it would close it to the public. I asked Kevin's attorney about this.
These kids have been through a lot, and to have all this media exposure to them individually as little kids who have been manipulated, I think it's better held privately.
In the courtroom, Virginia Blanchard, who represents the children in the case, stated, "We're not talking about adults, children, sensitive information that has been published worldwide." The judge brought up transparency in court is important, so she needs more time to think about this. She also asked Sherry Frankie, Ruby and Kevin's oldest daughter, who was at the hearing with an attorney, to weigh in on the request to close this case, which could prevent her from attending future hearings.
I think she has a right to be a part of these proceedings. She's part of the family.
Sherry's attorney would not comment. Something that was decided in court today, a pre-trial date for this case that is October 17th. Both parents must be there in person as of now. Amanda Gilbert, KUTV 2 News.
So it appears that that Jodi Franke, Ruby Franke, and Jodi Hildebrandt are going to be in jail for the foreseeable future. What's going to get them out of jail? The only thing that would have gotten them out of jail would have been a bail hearing. And when, of course, the bail hearing is, Ruby Franke's attorney yesterday asked for more time to go over the voluminous amount of discovery material. So that's, again, they're going to be in jail for a while. And are they going to be able to survive jail? These are two women that were living the high life, making lots of money. First with Ruby Franke's 8 Passengers podcast that was taken off the air, apparently by YouTube. Some disagree with that. Some say she withdrew it off the air. I find that hard to believe. But I could see YouTube removing it from off the air. And it's, it's for them to be now sitting in jail, awaiting a decision on bail. And I'm pretty sure the way this country is these days with bail, almost everyone gets bailed these days. So,
an adult. So was she there in person, or did she also attend virtually?
She was there in person with her attorney.
Is she there because obviously these are her siblings? And
they're referring to Sherry Frankie, who has made allegations, complaints against mother Ruby Franke. She's a junior at Brigham Young University, so she's been out of the house. But she's clearly made calls on behalf of her siblings.
And she has an interest in what is going to happen with them?
Yes. We did talk to her today. She said or her attorney said no comments, but that is what we would assume. The attorney for the other children was also there.
What did the attorney for Kevin Franke say? Because obviously these children are not in Kevin Franke's custody right now. They're in some type of protective custody, right?
Yes, they are. And DCFS was there today. We did speak with, for the first time, the dad, Kevin Franke's attorney, Randy Kester, afterward. He essentially said, quote, that they're focused on trying to heal the family. And he said, get the children back to living with a family member, because he said that's in their best interest. And he, of course, said that they're working towards getting the children back to live with the dad.
Like all attorneys, of course, his attorney, Kester, Mr. Kester, is, in essence, fully exonerating Kevin Franke. And who knows if when the smoke clears with these hearings that the district attorney and would be family court, Division of Child and Family Services, I believe that's what it's called in Utah. Who knows if he'll be deemed to be a fit parent enough to be the one who gets custody of his children. That remains to be seen. And don't see that he has zero culpability in this case. I believe he has plenty of culpability, and we'll see.
Kevin Franke.
Did Sherry Franke's attorney have anything to say about that in court? Because, there are some allegations here being made by Ruby Franke's sisters that Kevin is partially responsible for all of this.
Yes. Sherry Franke, no, they did not comment about that at all. And just for a timeline too, we gathered a better timeline. Randy Kester, Kevin's attorney, said today that Kevin and Ruby separated 14 months ago. So aware of kind of when they were no longer living together.
I would like to know, they separated 13, 14 months ago. I'd like to know, and this probably will be asked, of course, by family court, what was his involvement with the kids during those 13 or 14 months? How many times did he contact them? Did he try at all to inject himself into the family dynamic, or was he just a spectator? These are some of the questions I would ask that would, for me, be able to rule whether or not he is the best possibility to take custody of his children.
The last time that Ruby Franke was in court for this, and it was a virtual appearance at that time too, since she's being held in jail so many hours away, she claimed that one of her children had sexually assaulted, molested other siblings and then other children in the neighborhood. And she had this tearful reaction from what we read in the Daily Mail. Was there any discussion about that claim today?
That was not discussed in court at all. In fact, the judge asked that discussion only be on scheduling and on whether or not to close this case to the public. I did ask Kevin Franke's attorney about what you just mentioned, and he said basically no comment and that he does not believe those details should be disclosed to the public.
So he didn't deny that it happened, but it's just saying he won't address it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So where do we go from here, since this was both about scheduling and about the potential for closing this hearing to the public?
So, folks, you can see there's a lot of legal stuff that occurred at this hearing. It sounds almost like some of the other cases we were covering, Brian Koberger. Should there be cameras in the courtroom? Should there be certain things discussed? What shouldn't be discussed? What shouldn't be released at this point? So all of these things are issues. And again, yesterday was just a short hearing. So it was basically to get the ball rolling in the case. So they weren't going to go into the meat and potatoes of the case yesterday. Again, they were doing some housekeeping things, if you can call it that. And this was also the sister of 8 passengers. She made some allegations against her sister.
Shelby?
Mike and Dini, this is really the first time that we're hearing from a family member who was really close to Ruby Franke. Her sister, Bonnie Holeen, her sister's name, made regular appearances in her sister's vlogs, and Ruby regularly made appearances in hers. Holeen says that their relationship drastically changed 3 years ago, and today she's breaking her silence.
What my family and I have gone through the last couple of weeks is the worst thing that has ever happened.
Ruby Franke's immediate and extended family are known for putting their daily lives online. Her sister says so much was kept behind the scenes for years.
We did not have access to anyone.
Police say they found 2 of Franke's children in the basement of her business partner, Jodi Hildebrandt's Ivan's home, emaciated with wounds all over their bodies.
It makes me tremble because It is unheard of.
Bonnie Holeen says she thought Hildebrandt and her business connections were extreme.
It was complete indoctrination.
She says as an aunt, she did everything legally possible to protect the children.
And for those that were saying that they'd go in and bust down doors and do whatever it took to end up in jail, because from jail, I can't do anything.
She points the finger at her brother-in-law, Ruby's husband.
It was Kevin's job to check in on things, and he did not.
He was just simply following what she and Jodi were telling him.
So, that is actually funny. In essence, so the husband is a whipped individual who's too weak to stand up for his family and his children. I find that incredible, even that his attorney said that.
Kevin Franke's attorney says the father of 6 did whatever Hildebrandt and Ruby told him to.
He was being berated and belittled and torn down by Jodi, and constantly being told he was selfish and greedy and he needed to repent.
Kester says Ruby told her husband to move out of the family home.
If you want to stay married and you want to patch up our marriage and make things work and help our children, you'll stay away.
He says Kevin did.
So, folks, that's sort of like incredible that he left the fold to patch up the marriage. You got to move out. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Yes, let's patch up this marriage. So you got to get out of this family and you can't have any contact. That's how we're going to patch things up, And, as you could see, this case is not getting smaller. It's getting bigger as more people become involved. And we'll see just what a mess this case actually was. Folks, thank you so much. This has been a video short on the Ruby Franke case, the 8 passengers case. And of course, we would have to mention Jodi Hildebrandt, who seems like she could be the catalyst behind the abuse in this case. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
One episode just ain't enough. Get left